A lot of hosts don't make it. They quit, often in under a year. They cite various reasons why they don't want to be hosts anymore, including ungrateful or uncompromising guests, the rising costs of housekeeping, the rising cost of unexpected repairs, Airbnb violating their own terms of service, the uncertainty of the industry, wild swings in price and occupancy, unexpected pets and pet damages, and Airbnb always taking the side of the guest. Many of these on this list won't ever go away, and although there are many hosts that can handle these brutal hospitality conditions, there is one straw that always seems to break the superhost's back, and that's when the juice is no longer worth the squeeze. If you crawl across the internet, forums, Reddit threads, Facebook groups, my YouTube comments, you'll see hosts talking about how bookings just dried up. Some will call it slow season, some will blame the algorithm, and some believe that Airbnb is retaliating against them for something that they did as a host. And even though at times it could be Airbnb's overreaching shadow ban, no matter how you slice it, all of these add up to two things: no bookings, no money. These reasons aren't all preventable, but they are all manageable. Slow season is one of these unpreventable events. Regions around the world have different peaks and valleys of demand and lack of demand, whereas some areas, there will only be customers 3 or 4 months of the year. But all around the world in most major cities, everyone feels some version of a rise and fall of demand. But host supply doesn't rise and fall the same way. Host supply, for those of you out of the know, is the number of listings in a market. And how host supply works is much slower moving than just regular guest demand. It takes time to create a listing. It takes time to furnish it. It costs money. These people are getting into a business in good faith, hoping to survive long enough years to make money. They invest good money with optimistic expectations, and in a boring American dream style playout, nothing weird would ever happen. There's enough customers for everybody, and everybody wins. But the many events that cause guests to not spend money happen fast. The buyer locks up their wallet and money just doesn't come. It could just be slow season. Buyers have spent all their money in Christmas presents and they just don't have enough money left for travel. Or it could be a global pandemic or economic crisis. But in all scenarios, Airbnb hosts are left holding the bag, scrapping for customers that no longer exist because there's not enough pie left for all of that supply. There are smart hosts that know their way around the industry enough to survive even when that happens. Because short-term rentals is a low barrier to entry business, almost anybody could get in, and it doesn't take a lot of vision or preparedness to become an Airbnb host. It doesn't take a lot of skill to list a place online. What you will find if you search on Airbnb is a lot of the same philosophy. List a property, set a price, raise your price on weekends, give 10% off if they book by the month, and call it smooth sailing. What is interesting about slow season in any market for any supplier of product, whether it's Airbnb or Turo or hotels or airlines, is people plan to make money when the getting is good. You can have 10 suppliers selling to customers in good season, and they all have a similar strategy. When the market falls apart and there's no customers left, all 10 suppliers still hold on to the same strategy, hoping to get customers like they did when the getting was good. What's interesting about this, and this gets a little bit high level, so hold on as I try to explain this, is in peak season, when the getting is good, everybody was leaving some customers behind. This is a product market fit problem. Some customers in peak season will pay the most money. They'll book for 2 days or 3 days, just on the weekends, and they'll pay hand over fist money for your place. In peak season, there still are customers who would book by the week or by the month, but they have a budget and they can't afford your high-priced weekend place. So those customers tend to not get booked in your property if you were a host running a peak season strategy. But when slow season comes and all the high-paying customers are gone, those budget-wielding customers still do exist to some degree. And the best and smartest hosts go into slow season with a strategy that allows them to get weekly or monthly bookings before the other 9 figure it out. This, my friends, is called game theory in revenue management. And because very few people even know the phrase revenue management, that's why you'll see the data shows that people quitting Airbnb tends to be in the wake of their slow season. Now, this slow season doesn't just have to be summer, winter. It could be an economic winter that could last for a year or longer. This happened during COVID-19. I was hosting in Philadelphia when COVID shut down the Northeast. If it wasn't for my Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin properties, if it wasn't for Texas, we would not have had the money to hold on in Philadelphia. By the time there was healthy demand in Philadelphia, there just wasn't a lot of host supply left. So when the demand went up, the money was good. That summer, the money was so good. And this happened again just recently with something we call the Airbnb bust. Too many hosts entered the market, and entering into the summer, there just wasn't as much money as a normal peak season would have. So these hosts, hoping for a good slice of pie, found out that there's too many hosts getting the pie, and there wasn't enough money even in peak season. And then winter, the real winter came and crushed everybody. You'll still see it all over the internet if you scroll back a year. About a year and a half ago, I made a video warning hosts that this was going to happen. And if you were a host in this situation, the only thing that you could have done was to start running your property yourself. This is another truth of the Airbnb world, is there are a lot of passive real estate investors who will hand off their property to a professional, someone like me. But what that does is that costs 25% of revenue. And imagine if you bought a business and gave somebody else 25% of your revenue to run that business. You could have run it yourself, but now you have a passive business. The cost of that passive business is a 25% inefficiency, meaning if the market dies, any of your competitors that have a better cost structure than you will make more money than you. They'll survive longer than you. So the hosts that died off during the Airbnb bust were passive real estate investors with co-hosts, and they could not afford the squeeze.
Airbnb just made another change that is putting hosts out of business again this year. Just like last year, Brian Chesky updated the algorithm during the winter release. This took hosts with great listings, full calendars, and put them at the bottom of search, causing their calendars to go empty. Brian Chesky does this because the Airbnb algorithm is designed to chase interest and chase trends. And Airbnb twice a year updates their priorities inside of the algorithm to push up listings that they think are going to be new or interesting. Every listing is capable of making key adjustments to stay at the top of search, but Brian Chesky doesn't do a public release on what their new priorities are, so it's hard for you to know what changes to make. If you would like to get back to the top of search by learning how the Airbnb algorithm works, attend my program Re-Algorithm 3, where I will teach you how the algorithm works, and there will be a live webinar where you can ask me your questions. If you miss the webinar, you'll get the replay, don't worry, but join Re-Algorithm 3 now so you have time to ask me your questions. Back to the video.
This cycle will repeat itself. There will be booms where the money's good, there'll be busts where people go out of business. And it is in those down cycles that hosts quit. And what happens in those down cycles? Well, if you look on Facebook, you'll see people selling their furniture. They'll get out of the industry. You'll see a lot of negative sentiment. For example, here on YouTube, people tend to only click on videos that are negative. They outperform positive Airbnb videos by roughly a margin of 3 to 1 because host sentiment is negative when things are hard. And they just want to validate their negative experience. But that bleeds over to the guest experience, and the guests don't get 5-star quality. Those negative hosts stop making money, and those negative hosts, they go out of business. This creates a beautiful opportunity for people who want to get into the business, people who have not been scorned by slow season, people who would like to buy furniture for cheap, and people who start businesses in times of hardship tend to outperform their competitors forever. That's because the best and most tenacious business owners are bred during hardship. There are hosts that over the past few months, especially the ones in my mentorship program, who are convincing landlords to give them 8 weeks or 12 weeks of rent for free because of the softening rental market. And then going to Facebook and finding people selling their furniture, offering monthly payments private party for that furniture at a slight discount from the price the previous host paid for it. So you have amazingly lightly used furniture that you didn't have to have credit for, but you got private credit from the host who's going out of business. And their biggest problem is if they sold the furniture cash like that, they'd have to sell it for half. So a host says they'll give you 85%, but I'll take a year to pay you. And that other host is like, you know what? I'd rather not lose $4,000 on this furniture. You have a deal. This example of creativity is the reason why some hosts are not going out of business. But it is financially at the darkest hour that you can expect any host or any business owner to give up. And that's precisely the best time to get started. If you're curious about the numbers and how this industry works, I did a video comparing buying properties or just renting them and the playouts of different market scenarios, including a black swan event where we all just die. I walked through those numbers concisely and clearly in the next video that I think you should watch. But thank you for watching this video. I hope I earned your subscribe click. And as always, I'll see you on the other side.